Hi, I'm Jen with the Phoenix Theater Company, and I'm here with somebody special. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi there, my name is Brendan Stackhouse, and I am the director and choreographer of Les Misérables.
So, first question, super hard. Tell us about Les Mis, the storyline.
Yeah, so it is, Les Mis is a wonderful, epic musical, and it is about a man named Jean Valjean who is incarcerated at a fairly young age and is released from prison and sort of spends the rest of his life on this journey of self-discovery and sort of finding his own humanity in the world and changing a bunch of people's lives on that journey. It's a wonderful show in that it manages to be so many things at once. It's quite epic, but also very intimate. It's sort of has these beautiful sweeping songs in it, and we've a really amazing company doing it. So I'm really excited about it.
Question number 2. Can you describe the set of it and the world where these came?
Yeah, so it was important to Douglas Clark, who is our set designer, who is amazing, and I have loved working with him on this. We really wanted it to be something that loomed large and made the sort of audience and the cast on stage feel sort of the claustrophobic nature of a city that is under sort of revolution and constant re-examining social structures and political structures. And so we built this kind of huge multi-level set. There's a bridge and a ramp that kind of brings the action really, really high up because our audiences in Phoenix are sort of looking down on it. And so we really wanted to give some height and some levels. And we have like sort of this stairway to heaven motif that we use in the visual language of the show and in the architecture of how we have constructed the show. And so I'm really, really excited about it. I was just walking on it yesterday for the first time, and it was really, really awesome.
Please describe the main characters.
Yes, there are nine principals. Your main players are, you have Jean Valjean, who I mentioned is our main guy who we follow and track all the way throughout. And he is as I said, somebody who's trying to recreate their life and goes through sort of a series of adventures and interactions that help him do that. We have Javert, who is a very set in his ways police officer who is also advancing up through the ranks and is chasing after Jean Valjean because he broke his parole. And so he is sort of committed to righting the wrong that he feels Valjean has committed. And in the process of that sort of has to grapple with his own morality and his own belief system, which he has held to such esteem to himself that he is re-examining. And then we have Fantine, who is a young woman who has a child out of wedlock and through a series of misfortunes gets sick and cannot take care of the child anymore, and so entrusts the care of that child to Jean Valjean, which sort of gives him a purpose in life and a reason to keep running as the show goes on. And then we have Marius and Eponine, who are a young lover, Marius is a young lover with Cosette, who is Fantine's daughter. And we have Eponine, who is a poor girl who sort of also runs her way through the plot. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever had to like character tree this show, and it sounds insane when I do it. But it's like sort of complicated how they all run together. It makes sense when you watch the show. Come see the show.
You're most recently the resident director of the North American Tour of Les Mis. What did living with this show and that scale teach you that you're bringing into this production?
That tour is interesting in that it is, so the original directors of it, of Les Mis, like way back, sort of entrusted the production to it's always been co-directed, which is an interesting structural thing. When we think about theater, there's not a lot of co-directed productions, but the original directors sort of entrusted the vision and sort of the bones of the show to this man named James Powell, who is a British director, a quite phenomenal man. And so I feel as though there is a a culture in that company of passing down sort of the underbelly and the legacy of the show down to through the generations. And so I feel very fortunate to have learned the show from James and his team in the Cameron Mackintosh universe. And so for me, what I'm excited about is having this wealth of information, dramaturgical information, but also sort of rhythmic information about what really helps the show tick, and then finding my own stamp within those parameters of that. And so there are some things that are so informed by my experience on the road that I love, and beautiful moments and just visually how some things weave and flow. And then there's some things that are brand new to this production. And so it's sort of a healthy balance. I keep using like 70-30 to describe the tour versus this production. And scenically and visually, it's ours is quite different. But as I said, I'm quite informed by that experience on the road, which was amazing. And it is one of the biggest gifts that I have ever been given in my life, was that job and that experience.
So question number 5. You are both directing and choreographing this production. How does choreography help tell the story, even when the audience may not think of Les Mis as like dance? How do you choreograph a revolution?
Sure, yeah. There are, I mean, the moments of movement are few and far between, and they are rooted solely. There is one moment really of genuine dance that happens, and that's in the context of a wedding where we do the Viennese waltz and the minuet and some of the like sort of court dances of the day. But largely the movement is like pedestrian movement that's informed by the characters. And really, for me, the role of movement in this piece is just to accentuate the emotional resonance of the action. And so we have, like, at the end of the day, has a little bit of a movement sequence to it, but it's really rooted in aiding and telling the audience how poor and despairing, I don't know what the word is, these people are in that moment. And so that's sort of how choreography lends itself. And then there's a couple like moments where it's elevated and heightened, and so it moves in such a way that makes sense.
The ensemble is almost its own lead character. How do you help each performer build a specific human story inside those massive group members?
Well, that's and speaking to, like I said, about learning the novel with which the show is written based on is 1,700 pages for a reason, and each of those sort of named people in the ensemble, there's a wealth of information about, and so why they are there, how they are responding to the government at the time, what specific afflictions they're dealing with. All of that stuff is really outlined in the book. And so we were able to use a lot of that, and it has created this very textured, fleshed out ensemble of really individuals. You can follow and track any one individual through the show, whether they're named character or not. And so that sort of historical knowledge and novel informed knowledge has really, really helped create like a very textured ensemble.
Which character of Les Mis do you understand differently now than you did when you first encountered the show?
I think I've always loved Fantine, because I think of all of the characters, hers is the most relatable. So much of her turmoil that she experiences through the show is in reflection upon having a really, really beautiful, wonderful experience in her life and desperately wanting that back. That's what the song "I Dreamed a Dream" is all about. This amazing summer that she enjoyed, and this love affair that she had, and it ending not in a super painful way. It's just he went off to war, and then it sort of fizzled out. And the idea of, like, I'm a nostalgia person in general in my life, and so the idea of being able to sort of like taste and feel what something was relative to your experiences now, that's something that I think is super relatable. And so I think of all of the characters, I understand her like plight the most. I feel for Javert the most, because I also understand, not necessarily in my own experiences, but I know people who are very, very locked fundamentally into some religious dogmas and sort of societal things that are really difficult to shake and can be quite world bending when you shake them. So he's another one that I sort of have like excavated more and more And I also like I sit in Jean Valjean and I think of we're doing a lot of work in the room about choices, and everything that happens in the show is a result of a choice that somebody makes, and they are often quite difficult choices to make. And so to be examining Jean Valjean through his series of choices and understanding the stakes that happen at each of those moments has also been really fun and cool to sit in.
What excites you about the show?
The fact that it will never not be timely. And I think that's so, you can't say that about a lot of shows. And so it's kind of a gift to be doing it right now. And I felt that way when I first went on tour. I felt that way when the film came out in 2012. I find myself always being like, now is the time for this. And I think I'm learning, or have learned, that always is the time for this show, because it holds a mirror up to the world, which I think is interesting too, because Victor Hugo, who wrote the novel, when he wrote the novel, was exiled from France for speaking out against the government and living in Guernsey. And so he lived in exile, writing this sort of almost idealistic portrait of what humanity could be. And that, I think, it makes it so interesting to dive into it year after year after year, production after production after production. This is obviously not the first Les Mis that's ever happened, and it certainly isn't the last, but it manages to just reflect the present moment that it's in such a beautiful way. So that's what excites me.
If you had to describe the show in 3 words, what would they be?
Love, humanity, and sacrifice. Probably those 3.
And last question before we jump into the fun get to know you questions. What do you hope audiences take away from the show?
That you have the power to make the world a better place in small ways by the choices that you make. And that what I love about the show is that there is not a single superpower or supernatural force at play. It's just human beings that are making profound impacts on the world by choosing to. And I think that is something we lose in life because of a million things. And I could go on. Anyone could go on forever about why that is. And but I think if we simplify it and we strip it down to, I can just choose to be a better person tonight. I can choose to impact this person in a positive way. If we can think about that for 5 seconds, I think we've done our job in the show.
Awesome. Thank you. So now we do the fun flash questions that get to know you. And these are like off the top of your head. So first question, what's a small thing that instantly makes your day better?
A small thing that instantly makes my day better. Being able to cook for myself.
If you could have dinner with one character from your show, who would it be?
Eponine, because she needs someone to take her out to dinner.
If you could transport any person to see your show, who would it be?
Oh gosh, I would love to. I'm in such a Victor Hugo hole right now, and I would love for him to see this. Partly because I think he'd be like, "What?" And then the other partly because I just think it'd be cool to just be around him for a sec.
What is your favorite song in the show?
Oh, it varies. I love. Oh God, it depends on the day. I love I Dreamed a Dream. I love Red and Black. I love the finale. I think the lyrics of the finale are incredibly profound. Um, Drink with Me. We have been playing in that for the past day or two. So that one is is on the forefront of my mind. It's just got good stuff in it.
What's one word your younger self would use to describe you today?
Younger self would use to describe, if my younger self met me today, what would they say about me? Insane. Yeah, they'd be like, what happened?
What's your comfort movie or TV show that you watch when you need to decompress?
Veep. I've watched Veep every summer. My husband and I watch Veep, which is just a great show. And comfort food. This is crazy. Go on a journey with me. I like to get a carton of Driscoll's raspberries. I like to crush them into like a paste, and I like to dip shortbread cookies in that.
So, what's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you?
I have had coffee orders paid for by somebody in front of me in line before. I like it when people, I'm like a words of affirmation guy. So I like it when people come up to me with really specific, like if somebody seeks me out at something I've worked on and somebody comes up to me with really specific feedback of how the show in general, not my show, but the show has affected them. I like that a lot.
What is your dream show that you would like to direct one day?
I'm itching to direct The Light in the Piazza. I'm itching to direct Ragtime. I'm itching to direct Grey Gardens. Those are like my top 3.
If you didn't have a career in theater, what would you be doing?
I have a whole other life in. I have a special education degree, and I am certified in that, and so I love working in the education space. Or I would be a private chef.
Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
Being kind.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and letting us speak your brain. Are there any last words that you want to tell anybody who's watching right now?
No, just come see Les Mis. We're working really, really hard. And this whole I have said to Michael, the artistic director here, a million times, the ethos of this building and this campus and everybody that I have had the privilege of meeting has been so, so wonderful. And so I hope that audiences come and that we know that any applause is just building wide for it, because it's really remarkable people that I've had the privilege of working with here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. And
of course,
everyone, please come see the show.